Carpenter copters flying through the fog. Beneath us, a city of the damned. We all jump off the helicopter in our full hazmat suits. Go, 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 go! Running around with our rifles, looking through the windows. Is anyone alive in this city? A city devastated by the coronavirus. A city full of the lost. A city full of the dead. A city named your hometown. And then we travel to New York City, where a world-famous trial is currently being held. And amidst all of the documentation, all of the legal wrangling, all of the evidence is the word I was looking for, in the middle of all that comes a disgusting detail that no one expected. Nobody except one man, Hans Wormhat. Today on Dead Rabbit Radio. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Dead Rabbit Radio. I'm your host, Jason Carpenter. I'm having a great day. I hope you guys are having a great day too. We got a lot of stuff to cover, man. I just spent 18 minutes talking about the coronavirus and was like, this is boring. So I'm going to try to cut it down. It might still be 18 minutes long, but we're going to make it exciting this time. We're going to put some sound effects in there, and we'll have some visuals that only I will see, because this is a podcast. So, whoa, dude, look at that. It's a wasteland. Let's hop on board the Carpenter Copter. We're going to fly to Wuhan, China. Wuhan! Wuhan! Helicopter lands. Okay, we're all getting on our... I had my hazmat suit on already. You're like, hey, Jason, what's this story about? Oh, I've been asleep for the past couple weeks. You're getting off the helicopter, everyone else is snickering at you. At your impending demise. Why are you guys all wearing those hazmat suits? Just walking around. We're like, hey, dude, here. Bat soup? You're like, yo, I've always wanted to try this. I'm a huge fan of Batman. And anyways, as you start to wither in front of us, this is actually perfect because now that you have the coronavirus, which is what we'll be talking about, now we can get access into all these hospitals that we're going to be also looking into. So you're like, Jason, you're kind of a jerk for me. And we're like, yeah. Go to sleep. I'm getting you in a chokehold to speed up the process. We rush you into a hospital. Hey, doctors, get out of the way. No, we want you. You, doctor, come here. So I'm Jason Carpenter, host of Dead Rabbit Radio. These are all my fans. And this dude, poking you with a stick, this dude was eating some bat soup. And the doctor's like, that's not good. We all rush you into the ER. Actually, the whole hospital at this point is the ER. Because even though I'm not going to go over specifics, I should go over at least some of the general stuff. The city of Wuhan in China, it's in the middle of the country, is completely quarantined at this point. Now, I know a friend of mine has a friend in Wuhan, and it's not good over there. As you would expect a quarantine of 11 million people. Nothing can get in or out. The military brings in supplies all the time. But can the military really supply 11 million people? They're going to have to start airdropping stuff in. But anyways, they quarantined the city because the coronavirus, they don't really know what it is. They're still trying to figure out how it's spread. What they believe now is spread through water droplets, sneezing, coughing. If you're a dog and you're shaking your body and water's going everywhere, it's probably not good. Beethoven movies are banned over there now. Everyone's like, no. And then poop as well. So it's in the liquid of your poop, which is fine by me because my poop is rock hard now. It's super dry. I don't know what's going on. It's like trying to push a Lincoln log through a hot dog bun. It's definitely doing some damage down there. But so you don't have to worry about it. If you touch my poop, you're not going to get it. And so the doctor's like, that was disgusting. You really should go to this other ward and find out why your poop's so hard. It's like, no, I don't. As I'm waddling through the hospital now. So that's kind of the basics of the coronavirus. Now, obviously, with something like this, I should say this too. Like, as of the recording of this, 18 to 20,000 people have become infected. 300 to 400 people have died, and the majority, like 99% of that or 95% of that, is in China. Tragic, yes. Basic illness, similar to the flu, yes. It could get bad. It looks like it's kind of tapering off, and you could say, well, it's tapering off because they've isolated these cities. What's going on in these cities? This is where we get into all the conspiracy theories, because you knew this was coming, right? You knew there were going to be conspiracy theories popping up about this. So, there is video footage coming out of Wuhan, okay? So we're here and we're going to be walking around. We see a guy holding a video camera over a ledge. And we're like, oh, dude, let's go see what he's doing. And at the bottom of like this is a video that's floating around at like on the first floor of some hospital. There's a bunch of people who are sick with this coronavirus, but they're not just coughing. They're not just like looking all mucusy and stuff. They're not all green like the Mucinex man just covered in goo. They're twitching. Their arms and legs are flailing wildly as nurses walk around. Creepy, right? There's footage of a man walking around in a hospital. That's not unique. There's a lot of men walking around in hospitals. But this one, there's a man walking around with a camcorder in a hospital in Wuhan, China. And there's a bunch of doctors going, this guy's dead. We couldn't save him. This virus is killing all these people. Oh no, look at this guy. He's dead. Right here. In front of a secretly recorded camera, this guy's dead. Why am I talking so loud? But he's dead. And then that same guy videotapes a truck full of body bags. Dun, dun, dun. There. And then there's some photos that Shenanigans. Shenanigans is actually a Patreon supporter. So if you appreciate the show, you can support the Patreon. If you can't afford the Patreon, just help get the word out about the show. Yes, we're going to plug that during the story of hospitals and death. Shenanigans sent me some tweets over the vacation and said, hey, I'm a little concerned about this whole coronavirus thing, and I'm wondering if you're going to do a story on it. Paraphrasing, obviously, but I wonder if you're going to do anything on it. Now, these tweets, one of them was from a Twitter account called Trends in China, and it was like, hey, look at the government of Wuhan is building a hospital for 1,000 people. So they're trying to build a pop-up hospital real quick. That's one of the reasons why the death toll seems to be so high in China. It's overwhelming their medical services. Not that the disease is particularly deadly, but it's overwhelming their medical services, so they're going to build this hospital. And then another Twitter user goes, yeah, right. They're building a hospital? I don't think so. Here's a photo of a trench full of garbage bags. You see, they're not building a hospital. They're building a makeshift morgue. Now, I responded to Shenanigans. I go, I know I think I've told you guys this before. I used to work in a crematory. Those aren't body bags. It was a trench full of garbage bags. We can't tell if they're 6 feet or 2 feet. There's no scale to them. It's a trench of garbage bags. You go, Jason, why would a construction company throw all their garbage in a trench? I would respond, any construction company in China would. And I'd also argue that any construction company that could get away with it would. They're not going to haul it out to the dumpster and just bury it. Now, I don't think if it was a trench, first off, it's maybe a foot or two deep, this trench. But when I was looking at the photos, and I'm like, those aren't body bags, that's not how you build a mass grave. I know how they're dealing with the bodies in China right now, and that's not how they're doing it. This is a piece of advice I want to give all you guys. And this is tricky, too. This is tricky, but this will help you guys a lot from getting fooled, hoodwinked, however you want to put it, or scared, really would probably be a better word. When you see someone post something, if this person posted the absolute opposite thing, would I believe them? See, you had Trends in China saying, here's photos of a ditch being dug. Now, the other Twitter user, went by the name Dirty Monkey. So Dirty Monkey, a random person, found another photo of a trench full of garbage bags and said, no, it's body bags. And because we are conspiracy theorists, and because we research this stuff, we can be prone to believe the most outlandish theory. So when we see someone, whether or not they have any clout or investigative skill or access to information, because you don't have to be a journalist to get information out or to be knowledgeable on something. But who is Dirty Monkey? Who in the world is Dirty Monkey? I'm going to assume, one, they're not a Chinese national, just because the name isn't in Chinese. That could be racist, but assume they're not a Chinese national. I'm going to assume that they found the photos third hand, which means they didn't take the photographs because they seem to be taken at the same time that the photographs of the other construction going on that were referenced in the Trends in China article. So, based on that, I could say he probably didn't take the photos. He probably didn't publish the photos. He found the photos after they had been taken and published by somebody else and said, this looks suspicious. and post that out there, and then other people see it and go, oh my God, it's a trench full of bodies. If Dirty Monkey had responded to that Trends in China article and said, yeah, good job, China. They're really on top of this. Would you, as a conspiracy theorist, go, I trust Dirty Monkey? We don't want the human devastation, but we already feel like there's stuff hidden from us. So when a Dirty Monkey man shows up and says, I got a little bit of that sweet, like conspiratorial news. Conspiracy theorists have a tendency, and ghost hunters and Bigfoot people, everyone on this journey have a tendency to ignore our better judgment. If someone named Dirty Monkey, the guy jumps out around corner, where his shirt says Dirty Monkey, has a burger and said, I made this for you, you wouldn't eat it. But if that guy jumped out around a corner with a manila envelope and says, I have the documents that prove that the Wuhan virus is killing millions, and hands it to you, you may go, oh, it's believable, because you already have a tendency to believe that. The videotape of the people twitching, we don't have any source of where the videotape come from. It's undated. It's creepy. But was it in Thailand in 1999? Was it in Wuhan yesterday? We don't know. The video of the guy walking around the hospital is the newest video I saw, and the doctors being like, oh no, this guy's dead in the body bags. That video, the guy was arrested and then he was let go. Because, China loves to do that too. China loves arresting people for exposing their deepest, darkest secrets and then letting him go. We all know that, political dissidents just don't disappear in the Chinese legal system. They let him go so he could give another quote to the news article being like, oh no, what will happen to me next? When in China, there is no next. You just kind of disappear. Also, how many cops are chasing people down in Wuhan at this point? The reality is the city is under quarantine. That's real. But apparently this guy took this video. And then what was I already explained the garbage bag things. And there's a lot of videos of people walking on the street and falling down on their face, which would be hilarious with some Benny Hill music to it. But for right now, it's just people going, ugh. And they're saying, look, this guy died. Almost every single video that you are seeing about that came from the same source, the Daily Star. Now, the Daily Star is a website that I've talked a lot about on this show over the course of 381 episodes. Daily Star is one of the most fanciful websites out there. And there are so many times where I'm like, giant pyramid floating over the Great Lakes, and click on it, and it's Daily Star. It's like, oh my God. They make stuff up wholesale, and you're like, so Jason, did they stage a bunch of people twitching on the ground? No. I don't know when the date of that video was, but I will say this. It's really easy to get a video of a bunch of people who don't speak your language standing around talking about stuff and then put subtitles on it. And you could say, maybe no one else is covering this because Daily Star is the only one with the balls big enough to expose the Wuhan virus. That's true. Maybe CNN and MSNBC and Fox News and all them don't want to cover this, and Daily Star and The Guardian and The Independent and no other media outlet in the entire planet will cover this except for the one that we know constantly fakes their news. You're right. You're right. This may be the one time they're actually right, but boy, who cried wolf. So I discount all that stuff. People are dying. People do get sick, but when the government, and you're like, Jason, if it wasn't that bad, why would the government of China lock this stuff down? So, but let's get back into the conspiracy theory stuff. Let's get back, because there's another huge conspiracy theory about this that may be true. Wouldn't surprise me if it was. So, but we have to also dig through the fake stuff. In the city of Wuhan, there is a laboratory. So now we're leaving behind the hospital. We're leaving you, the dear listener, at the hospital. No, you're better now. Because people recover from this. People are like, oh. You get up, you're like, oh man, I'm kind of stiff. I'm kind of hungry. You guys got any bats I can eat? Because I guess that joke doesn't make sense if you don't know. They believe it came from bats. They believe it came from people eating bat soup. But you're like, oh man, I'm so hungry. You're looking at us. You're seeing us. We look like Batmen. We're like, no, you're not going to eat us. Maybe we'll pick up some bat-flavored gummies on the way home. But let's go. So we're pushing you in a wheelchair. We are headed to the Wuhan Institute of Virology. And we get there, and it's in the city of Wuhan. And now they had actually been working on a way to figure out why bats don't get so affected by the diseases they carry. Why is it that a bat can have Ebola, but it doesn't poop blood out of its butthole all day long. Now, a couple months ago, last year, the Wuhan Institute of Virology was putting out like a now hiring thing, saying, we're looking for people who specialize in bat-related diseases. How is it? We want to figure out how bats have such great immune systems, because maybe that'll help us. Plus, in the little asterisk, plus we want to fly around. And they were trying to figure this stuff out. Now, people go, And there's a whole thing going around about the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Their logo is similar to the logo of the Umbrella Corporation, which is the villains of the Resident Evil series. There is a company in China that has a logo similar to the Resident Evil logo. It is not the Wuhan Institute of Virology. And again, do I think it's possible that this virus came from a laboratory? Yeah, sure, it's possible. It's absolutely possible. Absolutely possible. And that it escaped on accident. It wouldn't make much sense as a bioweapon, because it doesn't seem to actually have that high of a kill rate. So we're back in the city center. We're getting ready to board the Carpenter copter to leave behind the city of Wuhan. And you go, well, Jason, okay, so do you think it's a biological weapon? And I go, I don't know if it's a biological weapon. It doesn't seem to have that high of a kill rate. But it's definitely possible that they were working on something and it got out. That's possible. That type of stuff has happened, or at least been considered to have happened. People think that Lyme disease was a biological weapon that got out of a laboratory. That's an old conspiracy theory. But it's possible you created something. The fact that you can have the disease and not show any symptoms and still pass it along to people seems oddly specific, because that's what they were trying to investigate, why bats could carry a disease and deliver it but not show symptoms of it. So that's a little interesting. That's a bit of an interesting side note. So it's possible that it's China's very, very packed in. People are eating bats. The bats could have had the disease, and they got the disease, and now it's jumped from human to human because it's mutated slightly. It's possible that the facility was working on it, and it got out. Let's go ahead, because I'm not going to split this up into 2 episodes. I know this is running long, but there is no way. I've teased you guys too long about this next story. And I do have to say this. On yesterday's episode, I said, I have no idea why this guy's name is now Hans Wormhat. And I feel stupid because someone on YouTube pointed it out to me. Corey Dennis said, his name is Hans Wormhat. Or he didn't say that. He said the name Hans Wormhat is from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And I was like, you're right. Felt like such a fool as I walk over to turn on the light because it suddenly got dark. The corona-infected cloud is now passing over my hometown. It's here. It's too late for me. But I'll finish this podcast anyways. Hans Wormhat. So originally his channel was called Conspiracies by Hans. Now it's Hans Wormhat. And now my videos always start off with a little introduction and then the most notable thing. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode. Other videos go, hey everyone, thanks for jumping in, like another podcaster or whatever, it's PewDiePie, all that stuff. Hans Wormhat has this.
Hans Wormhat.
That might be the best soundbite. It lets you know what you're in for. It lets you know that you're in for the most deadpanned, insane information ever. I've never had anyone just walk up to me and say,
Hans Wormhat.
That's so bizarre, and I love it. Hans Wormhat. I love it so much. So let's dig into a little bit of Hans Wormhat here. Now, Hans Wormhat, talked about on the show before. He's notable for 2 conspiracy theories. He has a ton of them. I've been digging back into them. We got some really interesting Hans stuff coming up. Did you know that Nickelodeon, the channel Nickelodeon, is satanic? Did you know that? And here's why. I can't believe I didn't figure this out. So he stated in an earlier video, we touched on this before, that the color orange is satanic. That's why NASA loves the color. NASA famously loves the color orange, right? What color is all the Nickelodeon stuff? Yep, orange. But that's not it, man. There's a lot of stuff that are orange, dude. Basketballs and oranges and tangerines and sherbet ice cream. Lots of satanic stuff. So why specifically is Nickelodeon satanic? Nickelodeon. Nick. You hearing it? You hearing it yet? Nickelodeon. Now I'm gonna... Eunuch. So a man whose testicles have been removed. Eunickelodeon. You see, and it plays in... He has a whole video on that, by the way. It's just him saying those two words over and over again. His two most famous and bizarre conspiracy theories. One, monkeys don't exist. Someone actually asked him, what animals do exist? And he said, the list is too exhaustive of animals that don't exist. It'd be easier for me to name animals that do exist. He didn't do that either, but platypuses are CGI. Sloths are fake because they're different colors. Monkeys aren't real. Like, every monkey you've ever seen is either a man in a suit, a kid in a suit, a puppet. And his other big conspiracy theory, other than that animals are just figments of our imagination, is that all men are women, except for a few exceptions. All men are women and all women are men. So he's a man, and he's a man because his arms are long. Men have long arms and women have short arms. Men are always fit. If you're overweight, like I am, you're a woman. And you're like, Jason, you're not a woman. You're not a woman. I go, I know I'm not. And you are whatever you are. But Hans, and many people believe this conspiracy theory, by the way, that at birth, someone looked at little baby Jason and said, it's a beautiful baby girl, but we're going to pretend it's a boy. And everyone's like, wah. So the whole medical community's in on it, and NASA. So anyways, he believes that all men are women, and all women are men, and it's this huge fraud that's put on by the scientific community and NASA and saint worshippers, and Clarissa explains it all, but she's not explaining it to us. She's part of the secret. So, foolish. I made fun of it on my episode Monkeys Don't Exist, where I talked about Hans. I think it's a hilarious conspiracy theory. It was something that only someone who exists in a small town could ever believe. That him and the other people in the town are the true genders, and then everyone else outside of those places are mixed up hermaphrodites, at best, at worst, toadies of the satanic elite. So imagine my shock. Imagine I'm reading the news the other day. Now, before I go into this, because this is all true, but before I go into this, I want to be very, very clear. To me, this does not back up his claims in any way, shape, or form. But to him, I can't wait for his next video. If he doesn't put a video out about this, shame on you, Hans Wormhat. Shame on you. Because this would be the equivalent of NASA accidentally printing a picture of a flat Earth. This is big news for people who believe in this transvestigation, because mostly it's centered on Hollywood. Vin Diesel is a woman, and they're all women. It gets really tiring after a while. Every video about this is just like, hey, look at these men. Nope, they're women. That's every single video in this transvestigation series. But this happened. Harvey Weinstein is currently... I gotta take my glasses off for this, because I'm gonna keep rubbing my forehead while I'm talking about this. Harvey Weinstein is currently on trial for rape. All these women are coming forward saying he did this to me, he did that to me. And his defense is saying, well, you did get a movie role, so, tough luck. That's kind of how this trial is going. And it's all pretty much standard stuff. Harvey Weinstein's sitting there one day. Now, there's a lot of things that can suck about going to trial. One is that you can lose and something really bad can happen to you. Two, people can describe what your genitals look like, and it's part of the public record, and you have two choices. You can either defend it and say that's not true, and then show them to people consensually. That'd be a totally different trial otherwise. Like, that's not true. Pulls his pants down. Or you can just go, yeah, that is true, and run with it, right? So this woman, Jessica Mann, she was testifying against Harvey Weinstein. She said that he had raped her. The prosecutor's asking her questions, and she makes the bombshell revelation, which if Kobe Bryant hadn't recently died, if the coronavirus wasn't creeping across the globe, this might have been the biggest news story ever. Apparently, Harvey Weinstein has no balls. His testicles are completely gone. There's nothing down there. So you go, Jason, a lot of people don't have balls. Well, half the population doesn't have balls, but there are men who don't have testicles, right? Yeah. They get blown off in war, they get chopped off, some guy has a fetish, Guy who was trying to play a game of marbles, didn't have any, but he had two. Oh, he always keeps with him. He cut his sack open and was playing marbles. So that's definitely possible. But here's this quote. This woman leaves this quote. Jessica Mann. Here's the quote. The first time I saw him naked, this is in reference to Harvey Weinstein, the first time I saw him naked, I thought he was deformed or intersex. So right there, she's basically saying he didn't appear to have any testicles, and I was barely aware that he had a penis at all. I thought actually when I looked at him, he could have been a hermaphrodite. So right there, already you're on trial for sexual assault, and you're thinking, oh, this is just the beginning of a very, very bad sentence. Now, someone could say, he was lame and he had a really tiny dick, and you're like, oh man. And again, what are you going to do? You're going to be like, no, I don't, and then pull your pants down, and everyone's like, yeah, it's kind of small. Or you just roll with it. But she's saying, I thought he was deformed. It didn't look like there was anything down there. But then it gets worse. The rest of this quote, the first time I saw him naked, I thought he was deformed or intersex. I didn't know, this is insulting. I didn't know if he was a burn victim, but it would make sense. So now you're being compared to looking like someone who's had third-degree burns. She continues the quote with, he does not have testicles, and it appears like he has a vagina. He does have a penis, unquote. And apparently when she was making these comments, Harvey Weinstein just put his head in his hands and just kind of sat there. Because again, how are you going to defend that? And the fact, a reporter asked him later and says, hey, how accurate was that description? He's like, it was perfect. And again, kind of, he might not have testicles. He may look like a burn victim that's all busted up down there and everything like that. Which, fine. I mean, listen, if you got it, flaunt it. I mean, like, maybe you're into that thing and your dick's all gross and stuff like that. Now, I would hope not, but I'm sure there's someone out there who's into that. The thing is that there's a difference between not having testicles and having a gross penis. And another thing, and people, you being a man and people thinking that you have a vagina, and you don't want them to think that. Like, if you were trans, like, that's okay, but if you're not, and people are like, oh, that's a vagina. Like, that would be embarrassing, right? But this isn't just about being embarrassing. This is 100% what Hans and company have been talking about. Again, I'm not saying I believe in this conspiracy theory. I think it's absolutely insane. But this is... I'm actually surprised the videos haven't already started on this. I did type in Harvey Weinstein transvestigation. And did you know that according to these lunatics, every accuser of Harvey Weinstein is actually a man? Rose McGowan, Asia Argento, Jessica Mann, it's in her name, she's also a man. These are all men. Harvey Weinstein has only been targeting men throughout this whole ordeal. Hashtag #MenToo, maybe is what it should be called. But it's not. Transvestigation is trying to enlighten us. But the fact of the matter is, the only video as of right now about this is... I just realized something. If Hans and company does not cover this Harvey Weinstein story, the fact that a major Hollywood mogul has been outed as not, at least not appearing to be fully male, not having testicles, having what appears to be a burned up vagina and a penis. If they don't cover this story, is it possible that Hans Wormhat and his ilk are actually controlled opposition? Is it possible that they show us ridiculous photos of absolutely jaw-droppingly gorgeous women and say, that's a man. That's a man. But when actually given state-recorded, legally documented proof in the court record of a woman saying, this man has a vagina that looks like Freddy Krueger goes down on it. That wasn't actually the quote, but a burned up vagina was more like the quote. If they don't cover this, does that mean that they're all controlled opposition? Does that mean that they're part of the cover-up as well? Is it possible that Dead Rabbit Radio is on the forefront of exposing the burned vagina agenda of the elite satanic Hollywood? Hopefully not. Hopefully this is not what Dead Rabbit Radio is remembered for. No, not that. Not going to be that. I totally don't believe that all men are women and all women are men. But when I read this article, I basically stopped following the Harvey Weinstein trial, and I thought, damn you, Hans Wormhat. Damn you. If you take a win for this, If you don't, you're part of the conspiracy. And if you do, I really think I need to have him on the show. I really think I need to interview this guy. Maybe we can team up. I'm not a huge fan of Weinstein. He's not a huge fan of facts and science. This might be the beginning of a beautiful relationship. I can feel his strong, manly arms wrapped around me. We stand on the cliff of Hollywood we're standing over there's cliffs there, right? We're standing on a cliff overlooking Hollywood, the city below us. And he's holding me. I'm all bundled up. I'm all like nestled against his shoulder blade, and he's petting my hair, and he goes, "You see out there, my young, beautiful girlfriend, Jacina, you see all that town is full of beautiful, beautiful dudes, but they think they're women. And we will show them he's not a very eloquent speaker, by the way.
Hans Wormhat.
He looks out and he points and he goes, "You see those city lights, Jacina? Now that you've accepted your true role as a woman." This is getting really creepy. But you see that out there, a beautiful brunette bride. That's the city of sin. They all believe that they're the correct sex, but they're not. And Harvey Weinstein's given us court documents. He pulls the court documents out of his pocket, waves them in his hand. Provided to us, ironically, by a person named Jessica Mann. Part of the conspiracy as well, I guess. And then he pulls out of his pocket a vial of coronavirus, and he's like, this is your whatever. He's not a well-spoken person. Throws the jar into the city of LA. Psst, we hear it break even though we're miles up. I guess that's not, the mountains aren't that high up. Psst, we hear it break, and then we start seeing people coughing in the city of LA. And I look at him and I'm like, "Oh, Hans, you big strong man with your tiny little thin arms, hold me." And he goes, "Did you know I will never let you go?" He's holding me tight. And then he turns to the camera and goes, deadrabbitradio@gmail.com is going to be your email address. I'm like, "Aw, our email address?" We finally... deadrabbitradio@gmail.com is going to be our email address. You can also hit us up at facebook.com/deadrabbitradio. Twitter is @deadrabbitradio. Dead Rabbit Radio is the daily paranormal conspiracy and true crime podcast. You don't have to listen to it every day, but I'm glad you listened to it today. I'm sure you're not, though. Have a great one, guys.